Hey folks, we are back with a new episode of Three Men and an Anime. Huzzah!
Yay.
This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Sonic Gav. Gav Leaf, how are you guys doing today?
Doing all right, I guess. Yes, that's what I'm going with.
I am possibly here. Not sure. Am I me? Are you you?
Oh,
Is
God.
Eric?
You're you.
Is
If
Eric
you're
you?
Peter, then who am I?
Gav, we are not that far in the future yet. Don't start doing this. We'll be talking about existentialism and transhumanism in a bit.
I was going to say, it's October 1st. We're about to deal with the scariest thing ever, existential crisis.
We're going to be covering Gav's most recent series selection, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, Season 1, technically.
Because it's one of the biggest animes we've never covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten to this one yet.
I mean, it's one we've all seen.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're any sort of fan of anime, hell, even if you're not, you've heard of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
It's one of those that the original movie is like in the same breath as like Akira and the classics and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Ghost in the Shell was the expanded universe series thing. Was it early 2000s?
Standalone Complex was... What year was Standalone Complex? 2002.
2002, yeah.
I'm old.
It still holds up.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's a good show. Okay.
I mean, the
yeah.
intro was done on a PlayStation 2, but you know.
yeah, not the best CG there.
Yeah, they dropped the
They don't
CG
use
for
it.
the second intro, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
For the second season intro, which is better in virtually every way. The second season intro. The second season,
Not as good.
it's still really good though.
It's still really good, just not as good.
All right, so unsurprisingly, we all like Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Yeah, don't bother skipping to the end. That's you know.
If you haven't seen it, we can give our easy recommendation. Watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's a classic for a reason. It's, yeah.
I will say I like it better than the movie. I'm not the I thought the Ghost in the Shell the movie was good, but not great.
The movie does a couple of backflips up its own ass every now and again.
Yeah, the biggest problem the movie has is that it bends over backwards to deal with some of the essential themes to the franchise. It's also one of the best integrations of CG and cel-shaded animation
absolutely.
out there, period, even now. And it's an amazing, gorgeous film, so you should still watch it.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, you should. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch it. I'm just saying I like this. I like the series better.
The series has more room to breathe because it has many hours more space.
That is true. Part Game Chat says if they haven't seen it, how have they found an anime podcast? You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people.
Before we had this conversation last night because we veered off as we always do and end up like not the night Saturday night. We always end up like just talking about random like things we found on YouTube, top tens or random stuff that gets on there, and you would be. It's very clear, and not to sound, patronizing or anything, it's very clear that a lot of the people who are watching anime these days have not necessarily gone into the past of what has come before.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that easy to find some of it sometimes.
Yeah,
For real.
But it is caught in the limbo of corporate fuckery.
Like the top 10 anime theme songs we had Parasite on the list, but not fucking Tank.
Yeah.
The top 10 anime openings that you can't skip, and Parasite was on the list, and we were all like, but
we did skip that.
Yeah, every time we skipped that. Where's Bebop?
There were a lot. I think it might have even been top 20, and we were just like, where are all of these things? The hell? Oh, all of these are the ones we're saying. Where are they? Are pre-2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then why is Cruel Angel's Thesis on here?
Because it's fucking Evangelion, that's why.
And yeah, it's cool to hate Evangelion if you've never seen Evangelion. But yeah, there's a whole host of anime fans these days who've just basically kept casual and just liking the similar sort of product that gets put out these days.
Sure, and
that's fine. But
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of these guys who've never gone back in past because they think old equals bad. It's the same reason why.
Also the fact there's the anime fandom in general has grown and then doing so fractured. So there's no longer sort of the classics that everyone has to watch to have context. Like,
Yeah.
there's no more like, what, you haven't seen X? Here, go watch it right now. You can borrow my copy kind of deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the big classics that almost like that should be sort of almost like I wouldn't say required, but is really good viewing and it gives you a lot of context for mecha anime, which we've covered, was Gunbuster.
Yep.
But it's almost impossible to find Gunbuster now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, corporate fuckery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this is the thing. It's like a lot of people will say, they'll say Gurren Lagann, you'll say Evangelion, but the missing link back there to where it all started, people don't know about it.
Yeah. And understand, it came out in the 80s.
Yeah, but I mean, even in modern cinema these days, I mean, there are classics that I know I probably should have watched being a movie fan, but I never got around to them.
Right. Sure.
Things like Citizen Kane and, the stuff that people always say, oh, you have to watch this. Even if you don't like it, you have to watch this because it's a part of cinematic history. Or,
Right.
the big names, the Hitchcock films. I've never really sat down and watched the Hitchcock. I don't know why, but, it's one of those things. It's just...
They're foundational. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, they're not, there's so much media out there to consume that I totally get that, believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get that. So yeah, and Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex
have you ever
is
seen Psycho or Vertigo?
I know the story. I've never actually sat down and watched the films.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I can recite you every single line from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
At least you have one of the figured out.
I hate that movie. Not the world's biggest Jim Carrey fan. I'll just say that.
So anyway, to the subject on hand.
Yes, Ghost in the Shell Standalone
Yeah,
Complex.
so dragging ourselves back to 2002 now.
Only 16 years ago.
Oh, let me see here. I am literally squatting in an attic, and I'm watching this on pirated cable. Awesome. Okay.
I was sitting in my bedroom in front of my PC, watching it on my computer, because I was one of the lucky ones that had a PC in 2002. I'm like, wait, hang on. Fuck, nothing's changed.
Oh my god. So yeah, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. All right. So the broad context of the show. It's a cyberpunk. I'm not sure it is cyberpunk, yeah. But
it's classic cyberpunk. It's one of the defining aspects of the genre.
There was a lot of stuff that came out around the time the movie did. Things like I can't think of now. My mind's gone blank as soon as I say that. Well, a lot of similar films with that cyberpunk theme, but a lot of what has been defined as cyberpunk nowadays, a lot of it came from Ghost in the Shell.
Yep, Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, Neuromancer.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Blade Runner. But yeah, it's Ghost in the Shell is largely about, like, one of the major themes in Ghost in the Shell is, how do you remain human? Honestly, I mean,
yeah, it deals pretty extensively with transhumanism and the idea of like how does one retain one's humanity when they don't even have a human form and their memories and personality can be edited.
Yeah.
How do you trust your eyes when your eyes can literally be hacked to edit out things?
Yeah.
That actually comes up several times in the show.
Yeah.
Several times, yeah.
Yeah.
So, virtually everybody has some level of cybernetic modification. If just a cybernetic brain, basically.
Mm. Even I think there's one character in the main crew that we see, who is, he's the most human of everyone, but even he has some minor modification.
Yeah, he's got some brain augments to basically be able to talk on the cybercoms and download information as necessary.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of required for that kind of work now.
I think he's got the eyes. I think he's got the eyes.
No, he doesn't have the eyes.
He definitely has an implant because they.
Oh, virtually everybody has a cyber brain, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Which is basically a computerized shell that houses the brain, I believe.
Oh no! I'm wrong. Togus is actually entirely human. He has no cybernetic mods at all.
Huh.
Really? He doesn't even have like a data jack? I could have sworn he had.
I think he might have a data jack. That's about it.
He's definitely got a data jack.
He does not have a cyber brain.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, cyber brains are a thing.
Yeah, basically, it's most of the brain, except for like the brainstem, is replaced with basically a computer.
Yeah,
and the memories and all that stuff are copied into it, and it gives a lot of huge advantages. Basically, if that part survives, you can just put it into a new body.
Yep. Yeah. Plug it into a new body. You're good.
You functionally immortal.
Yeah. Relatively easily, honestly. They're big advantages to going full cyborg body, including being able to be a fucking spider tank, which does come up.
It does come up. Yes.
It does come up. But yeah, this is the thing. So once it is that pushback against whether you want to become this thing versus people who think, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to be, what they were. You get the ones that try being something new, someone new every now and again. You get ones that don't even want to be human anymore, or even humanoid.
Yeah, there's a guy who runs an organ cloning company for transplants and such, who's transformed himself into transplanted his brain into this little cybernetic spider robot thing.
Yeah. It's basically a box of spider legs.
Yeah. He's literally completely, completely robotic. He says, why would I bother with stupid human limbs? I'm small, I'm compact, I can do what I want.
The main character, Major Kusanagi, is entirely cyberized. She's got maybe 3 pounds of meat in her, all in her brain.
Yeah,
not even.
It's literally her. The only part of it is physically human is the part of the cyber brain that is physically human.
Now, what's interesting about the world of Ghost in the Shell is they've actually managed to quantify the soul, which is referred to as the ghost.
Yes.
Like, if you've got a ghost and you are a sapient human, and you can detect it and manipulate someone's ghost. In fact, there's a storyline involving an international terrorist showing up in Japan, and them hunting him down, ending up with 5 different versions of him, all of whom have the same ghost, because his main body died ages ago, and they've been dubbing his ghost onto new bodies.
Yep.
Which is
soul
all
cloning.
Kinds of fucked up.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This is the thing going into this show as well that we quickly realized is each and every individual episode is quite easily in and of itself an entirely self-contained movie.
Yes.
Most of the episodes really could have spun out into a full-length feature film if they really wanted to.
Yeah, every single one. And this is what, 24, 5 episode season? 6, is it?
That's a good question.
I think 26.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, every single episode, like I say, barring maybe 4 or 5 that deal with the primary plot, they are their own contained movies. It's ridiculous how much they cram into these episodes. There's 1 or 2 that are 2-parters.
Yep.
But only very loosely. You know, there's no like cliffhanger. What will happen next? It's just a connected story.
Yep. And
it's not to say there isn't continuity between the episodes. Stuff that happens in one self-contained episode does affect stuff that happens in the next one and the ones after that.
Yep.
Not always directly, but like people grow and change, and so does the world.
And there is an ongoing plot thread throughout the whole story, throughout the whole season, which is 26 episodes. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Which I guess we'll get into in a bit. Honestly, talking about this, basically, again, the vast majority of the episodes are almost entirely standalone, to borrow a phrase.
Well, this is the thing. So each and every episode is character building. Every single episode is you learning about the team and the personalities and the quirks and the traits, except Pazzo and Boma, because they get about 3 lines in the entire fucking series. But you get to learn the little tricks and the quirks that each person has. You get a little dive into their background, not specifically. It's not, this episode is focused on this person. Here's their stuff. It happens once or twice, but it's more just like getting to hang out with these people and seeing them, and learning them. And you kind of get a sense during one episode, when one character, says something, and another character who you thought is fairly carefree and jovial at most points suddenly goes fucking ice cold. You're like, oh shit, what's happened? You actually get those personality changes.
Not only that, but you also have like each episode is generally like whether overtly or not dealing with some sort of philosophical or ethical dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
There's one episode where that's largely centered around Bato, where he's hunting down a serial killer. And there's a lot of baggage behind the serial killer. And part of it is the serial killer has kind of gone nuts because he was trained to do exactly this sort of thing as a terror campaign during the war, and no one told him how to stop.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with both Bato's like wanting to hunt down and take out this guy because he's a fucking monster, and this guy being a fucking monster and as much a victim of his own training and the neglect after he's served his purpose as anything else, as well as the victim, his victims. Like, it's a big giant ball of gray unpleasantness. Not to say the episode isn't great, because it is. It's just really fucked up.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's a really good episode.
Oh, it's really fucked up, but yeah.
And it involves people
really fucked up.
Oh my god. But yeah, so I was just looking it up. Looks like it's basically a little bit more than half the season are standalone episodes. It's 14 standalone episodes and 12, as the wiki page puts it, complex episodes. Which cover the main plot basically of the season.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably got 2 main plots, because you have the whole bit with the interceptors and the whole bit with the Laughing Man,
but those are all part of the same story.
Yeah, they're all part of the same story, and there's a little bit of intermingling, but they could easily be separated out from one another.
They could be, but
well, that's this entire show. Like I say, if the writers of this show hadn't have bothered putting out the show, there's a sci-fi film producer that could have made a fucking career out of the shit that's here.
Oh my god. But yeah, the show primarily focuses on, for those of you who don't know, the show primarily focuses on, well, it does focus on the members of a special police squad, Section 9. They're cops. Sort of.
They're like special forces police. Essentially. They answer to they literally answer directly to the defense. The Ministry of Defense.
They're special forces, and that special forces covers everything from and special forces and anti-terrorism, and that covers everything from cyber terrorism to physical terrorism to
Black Ops.
They have a huge mandate, is what I'm saying.
They do.
They essentially, from what you get, they essentially if something
don't technically exist.
Yeah, they're not quite that black bag, but you know they're not. Everyone knows Section 9 has authority, but no one really knows what Section 9 is.
I mean, everyone specifically the people, like the cops know who Section 9 is, and the government does.
Yeah.
Your regular citizens have up until a certain point in the series have never heard of them.
They're just part of the public defense force.
Yep.
But yeah, these, like you say, they tend to operate under their own remit. Every now and again, a case will come down to them. But quite a lot of the times, a lot of what they do is they'll just pick up a lead on their own, or something that'll interest them, or there's some personal connection. And when they dig deeper, it turns into this whole fucking shitstorm. But yeah, for the most part, they basically just do what they want as they want, and it's a case of, okay, but if you get caught, we don't know who you are. And they do some shit that if they got caught, they would cause some shit.
Yeah, they get involved a lot with political issues because there's a lot of shit going on.
There's a lot of shit going on. A lot of it like in dark corners and under the table and whatnot.
Yeah. We need to find this guy. Do we have a satellite in the area? No, but the CIA do.
All right, that's our satellite now. How long will it take you to hack it? I already have.
Yeah, they do that. They've got a sort of quasi... I wouldn't call it friendly relationship with the CIA, but...
It's like the entire world is in a Cold War.
Kinda.
No, there's a degree of professional respect, but they do not like each other.
No.
They actively despise one another. But there's a degree of professional courtesy between the two.
Yeah.
So...
It's like, yeah, we'd have done that too if we could.
God damn it. And we can't prove you did it either. Fuckers. We know you did it. We can't prove it. Fuck. But yeah, Section 9 is there are moments when they do stuff that seems like police work, but it's not really. They do have one actual ex-cop in the group, which is the aforementioned Togasa, who is basically just a human. He happens to be a remarkably good detective.
He's about 20 years away from being Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Togasa's the best detective they have, and he's highly valued partially because he lacks cyberization, which gives him a unique perspective on a lot of the issues they're dealing with.
They also do push the fact that he is, the human side. He is the human side of this story because, he's the only one really with a family. Yep. He's got a wife and a daughter. The most understanding fucking wife in the world.
Yes.
Because the dude is never at home.
And... Sorry, hon, I have to go to this oil rig in the middle of the Pacific and shoot a bunch of people. Okay, will you be back for dinner? No. Well, okay, don't die.
Actually, thinking about Togasa, he probably has cyber eyes. Otherwise, Laughing Man couldn't have done what he did to him.
Yeah.
If he's got the data jack, he might have been able to indirectly hack into his sensors.
That's possible. They never actually they never actively state exactly how much or how little he has.
Yeah, there is a couple of times where he is actually physically hacked. So there must be he must have something.
So yeah, you've got Togasa, who's their detective, and he's almost all meat.
He's also the rookie, so he's the newest member of the squad as well. Yeah, so he gets a little bit of hazing from the guy that becomes his partner, who is Bateau, who is goddamn my favorite character in this entire fucking show.
Bato's pretty fucking awesome.
He's a 7 foot tall meathead ex-marine. With cybernetic, well, the most obvious thing is his cybernetic eyes. He's the guy you see with like the plugs in his eyes.
Yep.
Supposedly he's got cybernetic arms and legs as well because he's strong as fuck. Even though he still likes to train with weights because that's one of his little foibles. He says, you know, they don't actually make him any stronger, but it's just something he likes to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like proper Black Ops ex-Marine type. But he's one that's come out on the other side where he's got his demons, but he appreciates life for what it is after seeing the darkness. So he's generally the one cracking jokes, a couple of little pranks here and there, being a little bit rebellious, just trying to enjoy things, really.
Probably the one least ethically compromised also.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one that is most likely to speak out against and that might be ethically or morally suspect.
Yep. No, he's actually the heart of the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the giant beating heart.
He's absolutely amazing.
And he is. He's a great character. He's actually my favorite also.
Yeah. Same.
There's one scene. There's one scene. Even if you've never seen Ghost in the Shell, you've probably seen this scene pop up on the on the collage sort of videos people put together as of shit that pops up. And there's one scene where they're sneaking into in the episode that Eric mentioned with the dude with the cloned soul, and they're sneaking into the building, and the Major, who we'll get to in a moment, has gone up onto the roof as she's wont to do. Togusa's gone into the sewers to try and get in, and Bato goes around back, and as he's doing so, he opens the window into the bathroom, where there's a weedy little lawyer type who's just there taking a piss. Looks up and sees Bato staring at him out the window, and Bato's just like pauses, stares at him for a moment, huge grin on his face. Hi. And you just see his hand come through the window.
Comes through the window and pulls the dude through the wall.
Palms him by the forehead and just pulls him out.
Bato's great.
It's a fucking amazing scene.
Okay, so we have to talk about the Major.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the main character of the movie. And she's probably the most. She's probably one of the two. She's one of the three main characters of the show. It's her, Bato, and Togusa. Really,
she is the main character. She gets the most screen time. Yeah. She's
a fair
least development. Like, she changes the least.
Yep.
But
she's this is the weird thing about the Major. She's an absolute monstrously glaring Mary Sue.
She would be, yeah.
If she doesn't fuck up as often as she does.
Yes, they write her really well.
God, she would be so infuriating if she wasn't as well written as she is.
Yes.
Yeah. She's fucking absolutely perfect. Like, her favorite mode of travel, as far as I can tell, is leaping off buildings. And she's not Spider-Man.
No, she's just a full conversion cyborg, so...
Yeah,
so she's probably stronger than Spidey.
Yeah, she's completely 100%, like I say, apart from bits of the brain. She's completely 100% cyborg, so, yeah. There's even been, like, conjecture over the years that no one really knows who Major Kusanagi actually is, to the point where some people think she was an old, like, dude, a military, like, general.
We do know that, at least in the TV series, that she's had a prosthetic body for most of her life.
Yes, I think since she was 6, I think they said.
Yeah,
6 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, I think they did that deliberately in the TV series because they said most of that theory that I came up with came from the movie.
Right.
Oh yeah,
no,
that's
also they also mentioned that her body, at least how it looks, at least its exterior, is stock.
Right.
Like, obviously, she's got a whole bunch of thoroughly illegal mods jammed in there, but from the outside, she's stock. Like, there are other people that look exactly like her walking around in cyborg bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense when you're a covert operative.
I mean, Bato even teases her every now and again and says, why did you never, like, pick a male frame or something like that, or, something stronger? Which he does it teasingly, knowing exactly the response he's going to get.
Yep.
Because she challenges him to a fight every time, and he says, no. Because he knows that well he'd get his ass kicked.
Yes.
Because not only is she faster and stronger, she's actually a more skilled hand-to-hand combatant than he is, which is saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bato's no slouch in a fight.
No!
Yeah.
But yeah, she is. She is. In combat, she is virtually unstoppable. And she is one of the. She's because of her augmentations, she's an incredible hacker.
Yep.
Yep.
And she can do things that almost nobody else can do. But she's a really interesting, nuanced character, and she does fuck up.
Yes. She's very smart, but not as smart as she thinks she is.
Yes.
She's intellectual, but she's not got that emotional intelligence. It's like the vast majority of her fuck-ups and her misunderstandings is because she's thinking of it thinking of something too logically. I mean, she's the one where, we're talking about the transhumanism and stuff. She's the one that people, the story uses to say that she's actually kind of slipping away from humanity.
Yep.
She admits that, actually.
Yeah.
She worries about that to a certain degree. And sometimes she doesn't, which, her friends find a bit concerning.
You see more about her worrying about her lack of humanity in the movie, ironically enough. She actually has a big, long philosophical discussion on a boat with Bato about that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you see hints of that in the show, but they never come out and have that discussion.
No.
At least on the TV show.
But, she's a very... She's a very interesting, fascinating character, and she's quite cool. I like her a lot. She's just not quite... Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was mostly agreeing with you. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I just don't like her quite as much as I like Bato.
Yeah. I think it's true for all three of us, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's almost kind of like if you're a Star Trek fan, she's kind of like a reverse Data. She makes the same sort of mistakes, but she understands the human the human psyche, but she's kind of drifting away from it rather than trying to come towards it.
She's not even intentionally trying to drift away from it either. It's just
no.
Yeah.
But like she'll say something that's off the cuff and is, when you think about it, a really cold thing to say. It's right.
She's lacking she's lacking empathy, and it's. I take that back, actually. What I said earlier about her having no character development, because you thinking about it, you can track her empathy draining away slowly over the course of the show.
There are scenes and episodes where she actually, when she's off duty, so to speak, or not in badass mode, she's quite happy to sit down and chat and laugh and tease. You're not going to get a belly laugh out of her, but you might get a sarcastic little remark or a joke or something like that out of her, or she'll wind somebody up with what she's saying, or little what she finds funny, what amuses her. But like I say, you're never going to get her like very expressive. You're never going to get anything super expressive out of her.
The thing is, you see that happening less and less over the course of the show. Thinking about it,
a little bit, yeah.
Honestly, her biggest moment of the reason I mentioned she sort of, I do think she worries about the fact that she's drifting away is from the last couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, with the Tachikomas.
With the Tachikomas and the moments with Bato there right before the end.
Yep.
Where he basically points out, she does have anchors to, who she is. And that her memories do matter. And, it actually, that's where it sort of sinks in, and she's like, yeah, Which is a large part of why she's able to survive what she survives at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should talk about Chief Aramaki and the Tachikomas also.
Yeah, we should, absolutely.
Now, Chief Aramaki, honestly, of all the Section 9 members, Togusa and the Major are cool. Bato is my favorite. Aramaki is probably my second favorite.
I can see that, and I kind of agree with you.
I totally grok why, yeah.
Just
Aramaki's
because
a cynical motherfucker.
He really is, but he's also the kind of guy you do not want to owe a favor to. and he knows how to get people owing him favors.
Aramaki is
slight and cordial about it, but yeah, he will fuck you.
The interesting thing about Aramaki is he is definitively the most cynical person of any of the main characters, and I think he's one of the most cynical people in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What keeps him from being the most cynical person in the show is the fact that he is actually empathetic, and he genuinely wants to actually do the right thing and be a good person.
Yeah.
A lot of Aramaki's cynicism comes from the I'm too old for this shit kind of attitude.
Yes.
A little bit. It's also the fact that he sacrificed a lot. When we come into this, we get the development with him, but he sacrificed quite a lot of like personal life and his own personal wants and feelings for the sake of public service.
Yep.
I mean, without going too far into it, he's had offers of of love and family and friendship and all this kind of stuff, and he's just let it pass him by because he was married to his job.
Yep.
It was more important to make sure he was doing right by everyone else and nothing for him, everything for everyone else.
Yep.
And it's become so jaded and cynical because of it. But it's still got that heart there where he's not jaded to the point where he's deaf to the pleas of others, so to speak.
Right.
He starts to get a little bit of an awakening towards the end, and God bless the Major because she does at least try and have a little fun with him. of anyone else, she teases the fuck out of him and she gets away with it. And he even jokes back. I think he actually appreciates that somebody in that serious sort of position, his second in command essentially, is happy to give him a bit of a rib back. It's not all super serious.
Well, I mean, that's actually
trying to distract me. Or you just forget your pants.
Why don't you tell me?
Which is a conversation that actually happens.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the kind of joking that the Major does. She'll walk around. Not naked, but she's basically wearing a mankini, and it's like casual wear. And no one bats an eye because it's
sometimes usually when she needs to turn on her adaptive camouflage.
Yeah,
her skin.
But yeah, she'll do shit like that all the time. No one bats an eyelid because it's just what the Major does. But it's like when she's, it's a shining moment when she's wearing pants or a uniform,
Like there's a moment where she starts walking around in jeans, and we're all like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Normally, it's some weird fucking leotard that's all the way up the upper ass crack, complemented with a big ass badass biker leather jacket
and thigh high boots.
And thigh high boots. It's an interesting look.
It is so cyberpunk pinup art.
Oh, it is.
It really is.
It really is. But yeah, the pit with where she puts on the jeans, literally she just ditches the thigh highs and is wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leotard thing, she's still wearing that, and
you can see that underneath.
It's like. But she wears what she wants to wear, basically.
Yeah, because again, it's another reinforcement of the physical body is meaningless.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she doesn't care who sees her in what or whatever else. It doesn't matter. It's just a physical body. Who cares?
Yeah, she very much does not give a fuck about the material, at all.
Yeah. No, what she cares about is what she considers to actually be human is the ghost. That's all that matters. Anything the body the spirit is all that matters. The spirit and the mind are what makes someone human, not their physical body.
Yeah,
it's what makes them a person.
Which is honestly an attitude she has to have, given the degree of her cyberization.
Absolutely, it makes complete sense.
Which is why of all the group, say when Aramaki's obviously troubled, she's the one that's when everyone else has gone off comm, she's like, "You okay?"
Yeah. No, she and Aramaki are clearly bestest droogs.
In a work environment.
Yeah.
There is one great episode where Aramaki visits London to visit an old friend, and the Major's basically bodyguarding him and chaperoning him. And he goes in. She goes off to have a wander around. He gives her some time off. Shit happens. It's a great episode. You need to watch it. And it just shows how in sync these two are, because even though they're not in communication, they just know how each other think.
Yeah.
And they absolutely know 100% they can rely on each other to do exactly what they think would happen.
It took you so long. Well, I thought it looked like you were having fun. I was, but that's not the point.
But it just goes that's a great episode that it just peeks into Aramaki's past and the sort of self-denial that is, that he's he'll give himself, he'll push on himself, and it ends the episode with like an old flame giving him an offer of a happier life.
Hey, why don't you stay at my place tonight, just delay the flight a night? No, I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he literally says, "No, I'm sorry, I've got to get this next flight. I've got too much work to do at home." She's like, "Fine, here, have this. It's a bottle of wine as a present." And he's driving off. He's like, "Well, I can't take this through customs. Major, do you want to have a drink with me?" We're not sure if alcohol works on cyborgs, but whatever.
She drinks.
She does drink.
So she was quite happy to join him, and she bought a bottle opener. So
yes, she knew.
Well, she stumbled into a wine shop and found a neat-looking bottle opener with a little knife in it. She's like, "Ooh, that's cool."
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet she was probably more interested in the knife than the bottle opener. But
yeah, it was a present for Aramaki anyway.
Yeah.
But we should totally talk about the Tachikomas now.
The Tachikomas are one of the most fascinating things about the first season.
Actually, hang on. Before we do, there are 4 more members of Section 9, okay? This is all you need to know. Saito is a sniper, Pazu and Boma do the legwork and never get to speak, and Ishikawa every now and again gets a scene because he sits in a chair and hacks things. That's it. Tachikomas.
Ishikawa was the most important of those 4.
Yeah.
Because he is both the best. He's the primary hacker of the team, and he also does a lot of information.
He's data retrieval.
Data retrieval. He does data analysis too.
Yeah,
he's very good at that.
Yeah, he's the one that's like casually hacking the CIA.
Yeah. He is basically the only person in the team who's arguably a better hacker than the Major, and the reason you can say he's almost certainly a better hacker than she is, he's not augmented the way she is.
Yeah, that's the difference. He has to sit in his big chair with his hacking gear and everything else, well, she can do it just like plugging into somebody.
Yep.
Go on to the best character, the Tachikomas.
All right, the Tachikomas are they're little spider tanks that with very sophisticated artificial intelligences.
Yeah, the majority outside Section 9 refer to them as think tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The spider tanks they have a slightly annoying chirpy voice, but it sort of reinforces like this almost like childlike glee and curiosity.
They have such innocence. It's unreal.
Yeah. And a degree of innocence which is funny coming from a spider-limbed tank with machine gun hands. They're the ones that clearly develop the most over it because they start with the so the Tachikomas are all like supposed to have the same personality. They're all and they all synchronize their experiences with one another. They start doing it outside of these scheduled times, and they talk quite cheerfully with one another about all sorts of things, and they definitely start developing personalities as things go on, as despite them all syncing their information together and sometimes getting confused about which individual unit experienced this particular thing, they still have different perspectives on things, and this starts to alter their development.
Well, the Tachikomas are used basically as the alternate to what the Major is going through. It's like, whereas she's talking about like the ghost being subsumed into information and all the rest of it. The Tachikomas are basically the possibility of AI developing a ghost.
Yes.
Because although they are merging, their memories essentially are being merged every evening, their individuality is what's growing and what's emerging.
They're developing distinct personalities, including one who becomes a bookworm and another one that becomes a philosopher.
Yeah. So even though they've got all the exact same memory, learning, experience, absolutely everything, you still get the ones that like have this different, that approach things from different angles.
And part of this, it's implied part of this is because Bato like has a favorite unit that he gives natural oil to as a treat. And part of what's implied is that the impurities in the natural oil, the various like protein strands and whatnot, are getting into the neural net, the think tank, and allowing this expansion of consciousness.
Well, that's one of the things they at least postulate as being a possible reason.
That's one of the things they postulate. It could be just they're on all the time and constantly sharing information and experiencing new things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's some serious concern that, as, tools and weapons, this could get in the way of making them effective at what they're supposed to be there for.
Yep.
They're machines. They're not, they're
tools.
AIs. They don't have a ghost. They're not people.
Yeah. Bato treats them. Bato gets to the point where he's almost treating them as pets.
Oh,
yes.
no, Bato completely and utterly
Absolutely
anthropomorphizes them.
Yeah, he totally anthropomorphizes them. He treats them as pets. He likes his Tachikomas. He has a favorite unit, but that doesn't mean he doesn't treat any of the others nicely either.
No, they are small. They are little robot spider people.
Yep,
they're not human, but they're people.
Yeah,
as far as Bato is concerned, yes, absolutely. Yes. And as far as the audience is concerned,
oh yeah, absolutely.
After a certain point, it's like clear, like yes, to the audiences, these are supposed to be people to the audience too.
That is actually the intent of their story.
Yep, absolutely.
Because by the end, the Major, eventually, sends them back to the lab because what's going on, she doesn't understand. They can't find out what's causing it, and they can't determine if it's going to be safe to continue using them.
Which after an entire episode is dedicated to Tachikomas and they're philosophizing and discussing things and trying to trick the Major into liking them again because they picked up on that fact that she's a little suspicious of them at this point.
Yes. And they genuinely like the Major and they respect her.
Yeah, they like the Major. The Major is cool. Like, why doesn't the Major like us? I don't know. We should figure it out.
The Major's worried about something, but we're not sure. We're not sure what. We should try to figure it out. And of course, she's not going to tell us. She's the Major.
Right. She doesn't tell anybody anything. At the same time, they're having like these conversations, like, so do we count as alive? Well, no, because we were never born and can never die. But we can be deactivated and disassembled. But is that the same thing as death?
Yeah.
They have the full on like
They have a full-on existential crisis in the most cheery, adorable way possible.
Yes!
Yes!
It's amazing. It's amazing. And one of the things one of the conclusions they come to is they're not really alive. They come to the conclusion they're not really alive because they don't have ghosts as far as they know.
Right.
So we're not actually alive. We can't actually die. We can stop, but that's not the same thing. So yeah, the Major sends them back to the lab where apparently a bunch of them are deactivated, it turns out, and a couple of them get sold off.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a weird line as well where, like, towards the end where we were speaking with other Tachikomas, and they're like, what happened to, so-and-so? What happened to Bookworm? And they're like, oh, well, when we got back to the lab, they basically decided to use him because he was the most outwardly deviant to basically just dismantle his brain and see what was going on. The weird thing? I think he kind of liked it.
And to which one of the other ones goes, oh, so he got to experience death. I'm so jealous.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
But yeah, the end result at the end, they the three remaining Tachikoma sacrifice themselves to save Bato and the Major.
Yep. Well, they don't even know the Major's there. It's just like, we know Bato's in danger. We're going to go save Bato. Clearly, that's the right thing to do. He's our Droog.
He's Bato. He's sort of, it's much more than Droog. He's sort of like their big brother, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the Major sort of recovers. You know, they all go down. They
Yeah.
But they succeed, and the Major's like, what? And she realized
they succeed in such a way that like they are clearly going to be destroyed if they pull off this plan, but they pull it off.
They do it anyways.
Yeah.
They are capable of self-sacrifice. Like knowing self-sacrifice.
And Twitch the Major goes, holy shit, maybe they did have ghosts. That's an existential crisis for when we're not being shot at. Let's go.
But she recovers part of the parts that their brains, their computer brains to analyze.
Yeah, she digs out the processors and some of their RAM, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and the implication at the end of the show, at the very end, is she's having this conversation with the Laughing Man about curiosity being one of the simple human curiosity being like one of the things that saved her from what she did to survive a hit, basically. She's implying that one thing she's implying is that the Tachikomas were alive. That she's no longer she's convinced of that now. They were alive. Yeah. That they counted as living beings, and it's a really neat little story that worms its way through the series.
That's the one that probably carries its way through the entire series the most.
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because there's always some sort of development in that, because there's always a Tachikoma involved. And also, Tachikomas are awesome, and I want one.
The important note we didn't mention is they are when we say they're little tanks, they have a crew compartment for one person, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really neat. The Tachikomas are really neat characters. They start out as a really neat character as a group, and they become individual characters across the show.
Yes.
Did we say the writing in this is really good?
Yeah.
It's a really well-written show.
It's a very, very well-written show. Literally the only complaint I think I have about the writing is because of the nature of the standalone episodes, and a lot of them having like these plots that really could easily have been spun out into multi-episode mini arcs or like movies on their own. A couple of the episodes feel a little bit rushed in their sort of resolution of the story of that episode.
Yeah.
But not too badly, and not to really the detriment of the show.
Yeah, I mean, for me the biggest problem with the show is that it's so unfocused in its themes.
Yes.
Regarding themes, it's hard not to compare it to Psycho-Pass because they're both such similar works. Psycho-Pass deals very specifically with free will and its interaction with society, and if a system can judge anything, can it judge itself? And what happens when that perfect system finds something it can't judge? Ghost in the Shell deals with that kind of stuff in like one episode.
Yeah.
And spends so much time dealing with all these different aspects of transhumanism and identity and technological implications and
well, that's basic
work. That's an entire story arc.
Yeah, that's basically what I implied earlier. Then, so like I say, each and every single episode is its own story. One episode of Ghost in the Shell, you get Psycho-Pass.
you could spit. There are a couple episodes. There are episodes where you could definitely spin them out into a full season of a show. Yeah, absolutely. And as Eric's right, it's a little unfocused at times in terms of its themes. Narratively, it's
biggest
not.
problem with it. It's also probably its biggest strength, honestly.
Yeah, in a lot of ways it is, because it touches on a lot of different ideas, and it brings a lot of them together by the end. Just not all of them.
Yeah,
it lets a few things sort of dangle off to the side, and some of them they pick up in second gig, the second season. Not all of them.
yeah.
But yeah, Psychopaths is not Psychopaths. Ghost of Shell Complex it's a really fascinating show. Before we forget to mention this, because it's actually one of those things that I said I was going to mention this before we started recording, and I really should bring it up. The music in this show is really fucking good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the composer was Yoko Kanno.
Which tells you everything you need to know about the quality of the music.
Yeah. I actually sort of out of curiosity, I was like, because stylistically the music in Ghost and Standalone Complex is nothing like most of the music I know by her. Like, the thing that she's probably most famous for is being the composer for the music of Cowboy Bebop. Which sounds nothing like anything in this show.
No.
Yeah. She's done a lot of composing, unsurprisingly. And she's, during the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, she is every fucking where.
Yeah, any project that was at all good, she was probably involved with.
I looked it up. So things she was involved in: Macross Plus. She did.
Yep.
She's the arranger of the ending theme of Porco Rosso. Vision Escaflowne. She did the opening theme for Record of Lodoss War. Composer for Beep. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Bebop, Cardcaptor Sakura. She did the opening for the third opening for Cardcaptor Sakura. The Bebop movie. Razafon was her. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Solid State Society and Second Gig, all her. Wolf's Rain was her. Macross Frontier.
Yep, that makes sense.
Space Dandy. She did the ending theme in 4 tracks for it. She's done a bunch of video games, a bunch of the Nobunaga's Ambition games. She's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of she's got a lot of range as a composer, because a lot of it varies from
yeah, there's a lot of very different stuff in there.
She's really good. And I really wanted to mention that. We've talked about her before a bit, but I never actually looked into exactly how, not just prolific she is, but the breadth of the styles of music she touches is kind of astonishing. One other thing I wanted to bring up also, Eric. What did I didn't notice? I really didn't notice much in the way of the. What did you think of the animation, basically? Because it didn't stand out to me, but
the animation was pretty good for the time period.
Yep.
It actually does a really good job of integrating CG with cell shading, which, especially for that time period, is really tough to do. Like,
yeah, most of
us in the spider tanks are all CG.
Yeah,
and they don't stand out that much.
Right.
And yeah, look at anything else in that time period that uses CG compositing, and it'll make your eyes vomit. It's not a problem in the show at all. It's well animated. It does a lot of great work with facial expressions. Like, a lot of the majors emoting is done through micro expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the animation holds up. I mean, it's not like complete like blow your brains out how awesome this is, how awesome the animation is, but it doesn't need to be, and it's really superlative when it needs to be.
Yeah, it knows when its standout moments are, and it decides, I'm going to blow your fucking mind out now.
Yeah,
when it wants to.
It doesn't really have any like what's the term, Sakuga? It doesn't really have a lot of Sakuga moments.
No, it doesn't.
But that it has an overall quality that's better than most shows in that time period. And like I said, the integration of CG elements into the with the more traditional stuff is superlative even by today's standards.
Yeah, you don't really notice it. Which is saying something, because
Yeah.
it usually sticks out like a lot. It's a very, very, very well done show that with a very large cast. Not all of them they don't all get equal screen time. It's not like a full ensemble. It's got a core of 4 or 5 characters that are the most important, and then a bunch of side characters who get their moments here and there. Before we wrap things up and sort of get into our final thoughts, we should talk a little bit about the actual ongoing story.
Yeah, the main plot. We've mentioned him already.
The Laughing Man.
Yeah.
Because that sort of ties into a lot of the themes of the show.
Yeah, this is essentially what they consider the core plot of the entire thing. Most things that go on tie into him. And the overall, even if it's not a direct link, a lot of the things that go on in the episode do link back to him.
The Laughing Man is a superlative hacker that from years ago that had never been caught. They conducted a lot of corporate blackmail and espionage, and it largely tying into various corporations that dealt with micro machines, which are basically nanites, and the ministry, the Japan's version of the FDA.
Yep.
It's actually postulated, and turns out to be true. The Laughing Man wasn't actually just one person, but a bunch of people copycatting each other with no original. There is a primary Laughing Man, it turns out, but he basically just saw the whole Laughing Man phenomenon and jumped on board to institute his own stuff. He found the blackmail material while fucking around in the internet, and was like, "Excellent! I can use this to implement my own agenda."
Yeah, the scene that keeps replaying is essentially, well, I mean, to go through it all, the whole point of it is that there's a disease that started with when cyberbrain technology was new, referred to as cyberbrain sclerosis, which is basically a hardening of the cyberbrain, which turns people into basically vegetables, and eventually death. And it's the gist of his argument is that for the sake of profit, they pushed through the technology of micro machines, which wasn't very effective against. It held it off, but it didn't cure anything.
Wasn't even particularly good at holding it off.
No,
if I remember correctly.
But they pushed it through for profit because everyone involved at the FDA had stocks and shares in the micro machine companies.
There's more than that. There is that basic simple corruption involved.
Yeah,
but the concern that if they don't push it through, then micro machine development will be stymied, and it does show a lot of promise in other areas. Yeah. And B, the actual thing that does work, they don't know why.
Yeah, there was an actual cure that got shoved under the carpet for the sake of promoting cyber machines. Essentially, like Eric just said there, sacrificing the people who are suffering with this disease for the sake of what micro machines might do in other fields in the future.
And like I said, there's an actual vaccine, a drug that could be taken for this that worked, and no one had an explanation why. And they refused to push it through because they couldn't figure out the causation involved. Which is not a bad reason, but
but yeah, the Laughing Man, or this guy that takes on the mantle of the Laughing Man, definitely focuses on one side of this argument than the other.
Yes.
And this scene that keeps getting replayed over and over, which is the first emergence of the Laughing Man, where he's basically got one of the CEOs of the micro machine companies he's kidnapped him, tried to like debate him and get him to reveal the truth, and basically has got him to say, to admit everything. But he's kidnapped him by what's called a ghost hack. Literally hacked his soul, and he's basically puppet mastering him. He's walking him around. He could literally get him to say whatever he wanted to. And the dude reminds me and says, "Okay, that's fine, but all I'm going to do is show evidence of the ghost hack, and anything that I say on camera will be dismissed as just the term they use is hacktivist, trying to cause shit for a big company." And he says, "Well, okay, then fine, I won't do that. There'll be no evidence. You've got to go and say that." It's like, fuck no. Look, I get where you're coming from, kid. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to commit career suicide by doing that. And the Laughing Man basically loses it and holds him at gunpoint in front of a TV camera, and says, and does the whole thing, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. Until the camera focuses on the Laughing Man's face, and to hide it, he comes up with a logo. He hacks the camera and puts a logo over his face, which becomes synonymous with him.
Yep.
The Laughing Man, our primary Laughing Man, the one we end up following, is really good at on-the-fly hacking. Like he will hack people's eyes as he passes by, so that they either replace his face with the logo, or simply edits him out of their field of vision.
Yeah, we even see at some points where people they'll say, "Yeah, I actually saw his face. I know exactly what it looks like," and they'll do a police composite sketch, and all they get is the logo.
Yep.
And the person that's actually looking at it, they said, "No, this is him." They're looking at the photo and they can't see why people are saying this is wrong. Yeah.
He's really good at his job. And his big thing is exposing corruption, in particular revolving around cyber and sclerosis. But he also ends up exposing, playing a small part in exposing a lot of abuse and ethics violations in the police, as they're using micro machines to spy on one another.
Yep.
There's an illegal technology called interceptors, which when the police officers go in for their eye exams every now and again, because most people have augmented eyes and that kind of shit, they're having these what's called interceptors implanted on them, which basically they're hacks. So they're remote bugs, which whatever the officers see, these things transmit and record everything. So it's like you're making people involuntary spies for every single facet of their life, and they are very illegal.
It's not impossible to get a warrant for them, but the big thing is, there's no way they got a warrant for all the people that had these interceptors installed, which is the entire police force.
Yeah. This is the thing. They're not illegal. Well, they're not illegal with a warrant. Without a warrant, they are very illegal.
Yeah, without a warrant, they are a gross violation of privacy.
Yeah.
like holy crap, is that a violation of privacy?
But yeah, the Laughing Man leads Well, he doesn't lead Togusa, but Togusa gets the lead by himself. But Laughing Man helps to uncover it by what he's doing at the time. There's also another one where there's essentially it's not an orphanage, is it? It's a child. It's a mental hospital basically for children. People who've either not taken to the cyber conversion or basically these are all kids that are displaying extreme autism sort of symptoms. The brains are not, the cyber brains are not functioning properly, and the rest of it. But it turns out that even though they can't function as human beings as part of society, what you can do is plug them into a computer and let their brains hack anything you want for them into a fucking brain farm. And once again, the Laughing Man he's already well into that, but he leads Section 9 into that situation so they can break it up. He's been well aware of Section 9 for quite a long time, during this whole investigation, and the Major has more or less been aware of him, but not really knowing it. There is a great one-off episode that they do, which is, I believe the term they use is a bottle episode, where it's like shipping a bottle. It's like everything is in this one room, one scene, no messing around. It's really cheap to produce, but it lets you have a lot of character development. And it's basically the Major goes online into a chat room just to try and troll the internet and see what's going on. And it's fairly obvious that when she's having this chat, one of these people is the Laughing Man. There's a couple of others that turn out to be other people we meet in later bits. But it's like this wealth of information of people just bickering and arguing and saying, well, I can prove this. Oh, well, that's bullshit because I can prove this. Oh, but what about this? And I can get this. And you kind of get
basically any chat room ever.
Exactly, yeah. But you kind of get that impression then. It's almost humanizing the Laughing Man a little bit because he's just like the rest of them. He's loving the free access and investigation and amassing of information and sharing information. And the Major comes in on that and without giving away herself, she like pokes and prods when they come up with something. She'll nudge the conversation in a certain way, and he quickly like twigs on and realizes what she's doing, who she is. But yeah, I mean, he's almost maybe a little bit grandiose to say omnipotent, but whenever anything's going on, he's pretty much always got a hand in it. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not everything, but a lot of the big stuff that happens, he definitely has at least his thumb on the scale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there's one episode that seems completely unrelated. It's the Bato episode where he's investigating one of his heroes, an old military boxer.
Yep.
Which, in and of itself, doesn't seem like anything too huge, but by the end of it, yeah, it's all woven into this same plot, and yeah, the Laughing Man had a hand in this too.
Yep.
An extended, sort of reach, but yeah, there are one or two episodes where there's not, but they're generally used to, as I mentioned earlier, like either develop a character or just go back in, to the bit where Bato is hunting the guy in, the serial killer. That he doesn't go in there because that's Bato. That's his own personal sort of thing.
Yep.
There's an episode where one of the Tachikomas goes AWOL and runs around the city by himself. It's not involved there either. Again, because that's character development. But in most of the more interesting most interesting like story-driven stuff, he's got a presence. There's always something there.
Yeah. There's a surprising number of episodes where he's not really involved, even indirectly.
Yeah,
but...
like I'm thinking like the ghost dubbing episode he's not involved in. I don't think he's involved with the one on the oil rig with the terrorists.
He's not.
No, I don't think so.
But at the same time, there are episodes that you don't think he's involved in, and you go back and look at it. So, oh no, he had some on the skills.
Oh yeah.
I think that's more what I mean. Yeah, he's like I said, it's one of those shows. If you go back and watch, you can see his fingerprints everywhere.
Yeah.
But then things quickly get out of my wheelhouse because you start talking existentialism and philosophy and quoting books and...
Oh, the final conversation between the Major and Laughing Man.
Yeah.
Lost me.
There's a fantastic moment during it because they basically start... The Major and the Laughing Man, they meet face to face once it's all resolved. Again, we're not going to spoil the finish because you need to really go see it. And they're having a chat about the meaning of life, essentially. The meaning of existence, of personality and individuality. And they're trading like book quotes back and forth, trying to catch each other out and postulating and there's a scene where Aramaki walks in. And
And the Major's like, did you get all that? Well, no, I would have needed an external hard drive.
Yeah, he's like, you had me for about 5 minutes, and I didn't have an external hard drive with me. It's like, yep, I get that. I zoned out. I got the gist of the conversation, but I'm like, no, I'm done.
Well, yeah, there's stuff in there that I didn't get the reference, but I got the gist of. It's like, I'm not sure what you're quoting. You're clearly quoting something, but at least I get the gist.
Yeah, that's basically where I was for about I was following them for about half of it. And then, yeah, I was like, okay, I've got the gist of what you're talking about, but I didn't study philosophy.
There is a bit where they decide to just crawl right up their own assholes in order to show off to each other.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's very clear what they were doing.
What's going on is the two showing off to each other.
It was that's the thing. That was intentional. That was the Major and the Laughing Man literally just having a fucking dick measuring contest. Sorry, I keep calling him Laughing Man. They do actually give him an actual name, don't they?
It's not that important.
Literally not.
No, but yeah.
It's just a Laughing Man is fine.
So yeah, I mean, it's a really it's sort of reminiscent of some of the conversations that happened during Psychopaths, but it goes on longer and it faffs about a bit more.
Yeah.
And isn't as, it doesn't carry the point of what they're talking about across as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
but they're not literally talking each other with philosophy quotes.
This is, we're in comparison to Psychopaths, which does that better than almost any show I've seen.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it's yeah. That lost conversation, though, I mean, it really did crawl up its own butt at one point. It really did.
It was clearly the two characters showing off.
Oh, absolutely. Which one of us is actually better read than the other? Oh, for crying out loud.
And it's something I don't think we mentioned. The Major's a total show-off.
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
She's an absolutely gigantic show-off.
Yep.
I could get down from this ledge by taking a step. Instead, I'll do a triple backflip and land with with perfect form.
Because I can.
The Major is the... If you've ever played an MMO, okay, the Major is the guy that runs around the city with a dungeon or whatever else, constantly pressing the jump button. She's
Yes.
Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. But this is the thing, she's in an artificial body, so it is literally that's the sort of control she's got. She can do whatever she wants. She can do impossible rolls and backflips and feats of balance and all this kind of shit because she's in an artificial body. She's literally running around pressing the jump button and seeing what happens. But yeah, I mean, that whole last scene just becomes because she sees that the Laughing Man lives in a library.
Yeah.
An actual physical book library. And she's jealous as all hell.
Yeah.
I was jealous.
She never says so, but she's like, so seriously, you surround yourself with paper media? Really? I wish I lived in a place filled with paper media.
Yeah.
I was more than a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
It's like the robots running around the hall, like the hallways, like putting books back, and they can't keep up.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's hard really to just like break down any one individual plot in this show and just say this is the story of Ghost in the Shell, because there are a lot of stories in Ghost in the Shell.
Yes,
there are a lot of stories. A lot of them are interconnected. Some of them are completely independent. Some of them are, yeah. It's
We could have done this entire show describing one episode.
Yes, easily.
Probably, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess we should probably move on into final thoughts at this point. I mean,
yeah.
So I'll start off then, Eric, and Gav, you get the hammer as or since it was your recommendation.
I always have the hammer.
Sure. I was making a curling reference, but you know, hey. Ghost Standalone Complex is real good. It's probably the second best cyberpunk themed anime I've seen. Being just behind Psycho-Pass season 1, which is the best. It does a lot of really interesting stuff. It looks at transhumanism in a way that not many other anime series I've seen do. It does a good job with it. The music is great. The characters they focus on are really good. Most of the stories told throughout the show are really engaging and interesting, and there are a bunch of really thought-provoking episodes. It's not the most cohesive of shows, but that's simultaneously, it's while it's not the most cohesive, it that actually makes it a lot more digestible in some ways, which I really do appreciate. Because it means that there are episodes where it allows you to decompress from the sort of bigger sort of ongoing themes. It allows you to decompress a little bit in a couple episodes here and there. I also want to mention we watched the dubbed version since we couldn't find the sub version. Also, the dub is really good, so
Dub is
it's a good
real
dub.
Good.
One of the people, Hypnofun in the chat, just mentions that like the dub voice actor for the Major's comment. The Major, she apparently she commented, this is a paraphrasing, it's the only role she played where she looked up wiki articles on how to understand what she just said in a session. I believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this is the key to voice acting. You don't always have to understand what you're saying as long as you do it convincingly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a real good show, and I really recommend it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's real good.
Yeah.
There's not much else I can say other than it's good. Go watch.
There you go. You've just listened to an hour and a half podcast for 4 words.
Yes, it's good. Go watch.
Eric, you're up.
So, this show's smart and gorgeous and a classic for a reason. It's fallen a bit out of favor in the animated community, from what I can tell, largely because people just forgot it existed. Yeah, it's good. It's smart. It's got a lot of kick-ass action in it, interspersed with like really interesting examinations of transhumanism and identity. And yeah, it does the trick where it's being really smart at you, but there are spider tanks shooting the fuck out of each other, so you don't care. Yeah, like it's a classic for a reason, and it is good. Go watch.
So yeah, I mean, look, when I said on the last episode, when I said we were going to be doing Ghost in the Shell, and I said something along the lines of, "Wow, here's a show that thinks it's a lot smarter than it is," I was being sarcastic. I was being very sarcastic. Yeah, like I say, it's intellectual cyberpunk. I wouldn't say at its best, but at its origin. Before Ghost in the Shell came along, I think a lot of cyberpunk was quite happy to stay with the punk side of things. A lot of the films that came around that started to lean towards cyberpunk didn't. I mean, like I say, things like Blade Runner, as you mentioned earlier, that did sort of get the existentialism. But in anime, a lot of it was more just like, I'm a dude with a mohawk, and now I'm a robot. All right, cool. You got a gun for an arm? Cool. And Ghost in the Shell was the first one that actually slowed the pace down. It's like, yeah, we've got cyborgs, but we're gonna tell a story about characters as well. And as Peter said, they approached it all in a much very different way. They don't act like transhumanism and the loss of humanity and the emergence into this cyberspace. They don't actually consider it as a bad thing.
Yep.
It's an option. I mean, one of the major lines towards the end when she's having a chat with the Laughing Man is like, she's like, "Well, what are you going to do?" She's, "Well, I'm going to hang around for a while." I mean, I think it's implied that the Laughing Man is suffering from cyberbrain sclerosis, and he's actually contemplating attempting to separate his ghost from his shell. Title drop, and see if it's possible to just go and live on the internet, essentially live in cyberspace and be an actual physical, not physical, sorry, a personality, an entity on, without a body, and see if you can do that. And the Major's like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of cool for a while. I mean, if nothing else, you can, if it doesn't work out, you can always give death a try. It's that kind of blunt. It's like it's that sort of like cynical sort of approach to everything. It's just like, okay, we'll give this a go, see what happens, whatever.
Well, we see that with the ghost dubbing episode, even death isn't permanent.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's one of those that definitely should be on your watch list at the very least. Watch the movie if you like the movie. Great, give the show a go. As I think it's Peter already alluded to, second gig continues a lot of the stuff, but it kind of starts to. That's the one where it starts to disappear up its own ass. It starts to try and retell its own story over and over and tie knots in its own, link everything together, and unfortunately ends up hanging itself, I think. But yeah, this is good. Go watch. And we made it the entire episode without mentioning the new movie. Doy!
Thanks, Gav.
Well, it's not important at all.
No.
It's irrelevant to what we're talking about, honestly.
It really is. No, like I say, the only reason I mention it is because it was something that I expect to see either in the comments or somebody will bring up, and make a Scarlett Johansson as the Major bullshit comment. It is much more a remake of the movie rather than the show. So yeah, it covers a lot of the same sort of questions. Doesn't really give the answers. But I just thought it was worth mentioning. Hell, we talked about Nadesco's movie. We might as well talk about this one.
But which movie, Gav? There's like a dozen.
So that's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Next time we do an episode, will be my choice. I've decided to go back to a well we visited before. We're going to season 2 of Slayers. We're going to be doing Slayers
we all
next.
knew this was coming.
It was going to happen.
Slayers next.
Slayers next is next.
Next.
Anywho, thank you guys for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll be back when we finish Slayers next. Thanks for watching, listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, as I said. And see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye, humans.
Bye.